Hello, my name is Taha Abbasi, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at Ferrum Network. So this is one of our monthly development updates, and it's going to be a bit different than our usual updates. I wanted to take some time in the beginning to share some insights around what Ferrum is, what we've been working on over the last few years, just in case you haven't been familiar with our history and what we've been up to throughout the most recent bear market and over the period of the last 4 years as well. So this is something that's helpful if you perhaps have been part of the community and just don't know the history of Ferrum to understand where we're headed, or if you're just evaluating Ferrum and really want to understand what we are building. This part of the video is going to be really helpful to you. If you don't care for this and already are familiar, go ahead and skip to the next part. There will be chapter marks on this YouTube video right underneath, and you can skip straight to the outline of the development update, which is going to talk about all the awesome and exciting work that we've been up to over the last month and things that have happened since the last month's update. So with that, I'll kind of want to get started about Ferrum and how we started off. So Ferrum was founded by Naeem and Ian, who are our co-founders of the company. They started Ferrum. Ferrum was really born in the bear market, and it was right at the end of the 2017-2018 bull run. And it was formed to solve the problem of interoperability and remove barriers of adoption, the mass adoption of Web3. And the way that Ferrum felt at that time to do so was to make it easier to build multi-chain applications, to make it easier for the average Web2 user to transact, to interact with a multitude of Web3 apps. And since then, Ferrum has been hard at work building the infrastructure to enable this to happen. When you look at Web2 specifically, in the Web2 world, when you build an application, you don't go out and choose a platform and then build an infrastructure platform, for example, such as AWS or Google Cloud, or the front-end framework such as deploying something on Heroku or Netlify or whatever tech stack you might go with. You don't pick your tech stack and then define what the application should do based on the limitations of the tech stack. In the Web3 world, this has been flipped for the longest time. For the longest time, you have to pick the chain that you want to go live on with your token or your Web3 app or your decentralized application that you're building. And then you're limited to the capabilities of that chain, whether it's on Ethereum, which made the blockchain world Turing complete and allowed us to bring our imagination to the blockchain world in the form of smart contracts and really program anything that we want in the form of a decentralized application. But you're limited at the scale and speed abilities of Ethereum, at how many transactions it can process per second, how many blocks it can process. And this, as Ethereum scales, it faced quite a few congestion problems that have been worked on with ETH 2.0, so on and so forth. If you decide to go in the Cosmos ecosystem, then you have limitations that come with that. If you decide to go with the Polkadot ecosystem, you have limitations that come with that, but you also have the advantages that come with each different systems. For example, if you wanted to use a service that is going to be for financial settlement in the Web2 world, you might say, I'm going to build a web app that's going to use Stripe or Braintree for credit card and payment processing and bank processing. I'm going to use AWS for my compute and storage services, also to handle my load balancing, and I might rely on Cloudflare as my content delivery system. So you can mix and match the needs of your applications and then build an application that is the closest to the idea that you have, the value that it's going to provide to the users, and choose the infrastructure that is needed to support it. What Ferrum has been working on is a solution that is going to allow you to choose, for example, the compute benefits of something like Kudos, to choose the financial settlement infrastructure of something like Algorand, to choose the speed and scalability of something like Polkadot or Cosmos, and the security of something like Ethereum. So you can pick different parts of your infrastructure and have them connected all within one ecosystem. Now, typically, if you want to do this today, you're going to need to, if you're a new project, you're going to need to go hire a Solidity developer who can work on Solidity smart contracts on Ethereum. You're going to need to go hire a Cosmos developer who can work on the Kudos side or in the Cosmos ecosystem in general. You're going to need a Substrate and Rust developer who's going to need to know the inner workings of not just Rust, but the Substrate framework to work in the Polkadot ecosystem, so on and so forth. So your cost as a business just to launch the application goes up drastically. Your time to market goes up drastically. Whereas what Ferrum is building, it's going to allow you to hire one set of developers, one set of experts who are familiar with either Rust and the Substrate framework, or even if you want to do a cross-chain deployment, you can have an expert in Solidity building something that integrates with Ferrum's quantum portal infrastructure that we have deployed on even EVM networks today. And they can deploy an application using the language and the interface that they know, and they can deploy it everywhere else through our integrated system. In other words, they have to build their application once, and they have the ability to deploy it everywhere through Ferrum's infrastructure. What does this mean as the rubber meets the road? This means that the cost for projects to deploy multi-chain dApps, to use more sophisticated benefits of these different app chains that are out there, has gone down by multiple fold, in some cases 3 to 5 fold. You need to hire 1 or 2 developers instead of 5 to 7 to do the same work. Your speed to market goes up drastically, which results in a cycle of improvements throughout the life cycle of a project's launch. It helps the community members that are involved with supporting the project in the beginning. It helps the strategic investors that might be involved. It helps the project team itself, and the whole cycle of the project is much better because the funds are being put to much better use and have a much more improved ROI. So this is the mainnet that Ferrum has been building. For those of you who might not know, all of this is coming together in the form of a Ferrum network blockchain that we are going to launch on the Polkadot ecosystem. We've been working on it for 4 years, and we are now ready to come to a launch for this in the upcoming year, in the year of 2024. We've already secured a slot for a part of our infrastructure, the quantum portal network infrastructure on the Kusama parachain. So we have on the Kusama relay chain, we have a quantum portal network parachain slot already secured, and we've already started to deploy the first versions of our infrastructure over there after tremendous amount of work that's going on. And we're going to be releasing information about how you can become a miner and run nodes. We're going to be releasing information about how you can become a validator, how you can delegate to someone else that might be mining. Maybe you're not technically inclined and you just want to be a part of the ecosystem and you want to delegate your tokens to someone that might want to be running nodes. You'll have the ability to do that. And I'll be covering some of these development updates in the rest of the video. I just wanted to take a few minutes here and give you a little bit of a background of what we're working on. And in my upcoming updates, I'm going to talk more about our mission and our vision of what we are looking to do with launching this multi-chain interoperability protocol. What are the problems, real world problems that we're looking to solve? I encourage you to take a look at our company, our website, our information at CMC and CoinGecko in terms of how long we've been around. Ferrum is an established project, but one that I believe has not even delivered the even 1/10 or maybe even 1/100 of the potential that we hope to deliver in the space in terms of making life easier for developers, for builders, for community members. So I am incredibly excited about what's ahead. With that, I'm going to move on to the next section of this update, which is going to talk strictly about the development related updates and what we've been up to. So let's move into that now. All right, so let's get into the development updates. In the October update, I talked about our focus shift, and instead of focusing on a multitude of things as we had done in the past, we experimented a more focused approach with the mainnet team, and that worked out quite well in terms of the quality and the velocity of our shipment of our updates after each sprint. So we migrated that approach throughout our development team, and we have really honed in and focused on 2 core areas of development. One of them being our mainnet infrastructure team, which is developing the Ferrum network blockchain, the quantum portal network infrastructure, and all things related to that, all the way from the smart contract integration side to the node running side and the node infrastructure to the explorers that are going to be needed in relation to that to support that ecosystem, the mining dashboard, so on and so forth. So I'll be touching on those. And the other part of our team has been focused on MultiSwap related updates, which is an interoperable multi-chain cross-chain aggregator. In simple terms, it means you can swap any token on any chain for any other token on any other chain, as long as it's integrated with MultiSwap. And we already have a ton of EVM networks integrated, even a few non-EVM, and we're going to continue to add the in-demand networks to that integration list. So let's get into the MultiSwap updates. As you know, MultiSwap is a product that we've been working on for some time now, and we've gone through 3 to 4 rounds of alpha and beta testing. In each one of those rounds, we've gathered feedback, and that feedback has been incredibly helpful in order for us to refine the product to get it ready for production deployment. I'm happy to report that that production deployment feedback has now been implemented, and we are in the final stages of getting ready to deploy this app to production. The current status of the app is that it is in QA in our staging environment in the pre-production testing stage. So in other words, all of the feedback that we gathered through the 4 beta and alpha rounds has now been completed from the development stage. It is now in the QA stage where our internal team and set of quality assurance testers go through and make sure that all of the functionality is working as expected. If we identify any issues, as an example, we have identified an issue with one of our upstream API providers and the rate limit that was set in the development environment versus what will be required in production. Those issues are the kind of issues that we look to resolve in this stage. We expect this to take about a week or 2 to go through the testing, the feedback loop, and resolving these elements. And then once they are resolved, we'll of course be incredibly excited to be launching MultiSwap before the end of the year. And that is our big goal as we finish this year off. We want to have an amazing product that we've worked on for a few months now to be in the hands of our community members, to be in the hands of anyone that is looking for a secure, simplified experience to do swaps across the board. This is an actually great transition point for me to talk about one of the important UX updates that we've made in our design approach. And MultiSwap is one of the first products where we're applying this, which talks about a mobile first design, not necessarily just responsive design as you would see in typical websites. If you've been to a website that you've used on a desktop in your Chrome or Brave or whatever browser you choose to use, and you simply resize that website, you see that it changes in accordance to the width of the browser. I'll demonstrate this in a screen recording here momentarily. I want to talk about how that design approach works well for more static websites, such as your brand's website. But when you start looking into web apps or dApps where high level of interaction is needed, as would be the case for MultiSwap, you need to think of an entirely different approach. Essentially, you need a mobile app driven user experience that follows a principle known as the one thumb or one eye test, which we'll go over as well here in a moment. And that means that the design and the implementation of the mobile version essentially is an entirely different user interface than the desktop version. So let me just show you a demonstration of this here. I'll share my screen and then we can get into it and talk about some of the approaches that we've been working on the MultiSwap side. And then after that, we'll move on to the mainnet updates. So let's take a look at the screen and try to understand the differences between responsive and mobile first UX experience. All right, great. So here I'm sharing my screen and you're taking a look at Ferrum Network's website. So this is a static website. I think everybody knows and has probably experienced how a typical responsive framework would work. So as you can see, if I'm looking at what's in front of my screen right now, you see a 3-column approach. And as I start to resize this window, you'll notice that those columns will start to go into a 1-column size and resize themselves in a responsive way for a mobile appropriate design, right? So if you are even in a smaller screen size, you'll be able to navigate easily. You'll be able to navigate the website and interact with it in an easy manner. This approach, however, doesn't work very well when you're looking at applications that have high level of interactivity. An example of this that I'll give you is if you go to YouTube side, there's a few things that are important to notice. So when we're here on youtube.com, what I want to show you is take a look at this. You have a left menu over here. You have a menu button on the top left of the screen here that expands and gets rid of the side menu. You have a channel option ticker at the top. Now, when you resize this, the screen looks different than what their mobile version would be. So if I resize this to be a lower width window, which would represent a mobile device, you can see, first note that the browser URL remains to be youtube.com. Second, notice that the menu is at the top. If I was on a large screen device like a larger iPhone or a larger Android device or anything of that sort, for me to go and touch this menu item on the top left, I would have to use another hand. Typically, when you're designing a mobile experience, you want to make it so it's easy and quick to use, and this kind of an experience no longer meets the expectations of UX design in the industry. So YouTube actually adjusted this approach. I'll see if I can go ahead and refresh it and if it redirects me to the mobile version. So let me go ahead and open a development window so that I can mimic being on a mobile device, and then I will I'll pretend that we're going from an iPhone 4, and then I'm just going to go ahead and type youtube.com, and you'll notice that I am redirected automatically to m.youtube.com, and a couple of things happen as a result of this redirection. So let me go ahead and open this up in full screen so you can see what's going on. So a couple of things have occurred over here. So one of those things, as you can see now, the full window, is the menu has moved from the top left of the screen, where I wouldn't have been able to reach it, to the bottom left. This is actually an entirely different user interface front-end application. When it detects that your device width is below a certain spectrum, typically 480 to 600 pixels wide, it redirects you to a different front-end interface that's optimized for mobile use. You can check your library by using your one thumb. Everything is within the reach of your one thumb. You're able to interact with different menu items in a full screen approach. Remember, when I clicked on this menu before on the desktop view, it was on the top right, versus in this way, it interacts with you and you're able to access it right away on the full screen. You can easily see it. If you have weaker eyes like me from looking at screens all day long and building Ferrum technology, then you will have an easier time looking at your menu items on a bigger full screen interface instead of trying to dissect it from a smaller screen over here. So Ferrum is improving its UX by adopting similar approaches, and I want to show you an example of that here now with what we've done with MultiSwap. So this is MultiSwap's desktop view, and instead of just taking this view and its approach and saying that, okay, here's the interface where when you click connect wallet at the initial screen, you can go ahead and click BSC scan, BSC as the chain that you want to interact with, and then choose your preferred wallet, in this case MetaMask. If you want to go to a token selector, this pop-up comes up. These things work very well on a desktop view, but on a mobile view, trying to navigate all this, if I'm at the bottom of the screen, you can imagine I have to use my second hand to click on the top part of the screen to get to my desired token, right? If I want to click here, I would have to use two thumbs or really have really big hands. So that's not an experience we want. So we have now implemented this improved UX principle in the MultiSwap mobile version as well, which is not a responsive design. It is a mobile first unique user experience designed to really provide a smooth experience to anyone using MultiSwap from a smaller device. So in this case, you can see that when I connect my wallet, I have a full screen experience. I don't have to click a tiny option on a pop-up that comes up. I have a full screen experience for that, and I can easily read everything that I want to touch and select. And same with the token selector. For example, if I want to select the token, I'm going to click it and I have a full screen option to be able to select tokens instead of the desktop version where I would have had to go and select it from a smaller interface on a smaller screen. So this is an example of some of the things that we are working on and some of the things that we are improving from the user experience. All of this work is what has now been completed and is in testing from a MultiSwap standpoint, and we are incredibly excited to get it in the hands of our users, in the hands of all of the folks out there that might want to not go through 5 steps to move tokens from one chain to another. First go and liquidate the token on DEX 1, on chain 1, to a bridgeable token or a token that you can send to a centralized exchange, then send it to a centralized exchange or a bridge, move it over, extract it out, and then go and swap it again on a DEX for the token that you desire. You don't have to do that. You can simply select a destination token on your destination network, a source token on the source network, and enter your amount of tokens here. Approve your contract if this is the first time you're doing it. But if you're coming here for the second time, it's as simple as selecting the tokens on the source network and the destination, click swap, and watch the magic happen. We've really worked to make this a smooth experience, and I really want to thank all of our beta testers for providing incredible feedback to further improving the experience and making it a really smooth and simplified experience for anyone, whether you're a Web3 native at this point or you are a new person coming in and exploring how to interact with Web3. We hope that this will be a product that everyone would love to use and be happy to use every time they need to do a cross-chain swap. With that, I'm going to come back and talk a little bit about the mainnet updates. I'll stop screen sharing here in a moment, and then we'll dive into some of the mainnet related UI and UX updates that we've done in addition to the infrastructure updates too. All right, now it's time to talk about the main course, something that we've all been waiting for, especially if you follow Ferrum. I mean, this is the reason for Ferrum's existence, and it is our interoperable mainnet, right? So we're going to talk about what we've been working on, what are the infrastructure updates that we've implemented so far. There's been a lot that's gone on over the last year. I'm incredibly proud of the mainnet team that's being led by our founder, Naeem Yagana, and our incredible set of developers. Our lead mainnet developer over there is Stanley, who's done an incredible job as well, and the entire team that is supporting that infrastructure deployment from the Quantum Portal Explorer that's being developed, from the node infrastructure, the front end and the back end elements, the smart contract development that's been done. They have done an incredible job, and I'm excited to share some of those updates with you now. So our goal is to be able to launch the ability. We've already done beta tests with the ability to run mining nodes and just general Quantum Portal Network, Quantum Portal Network nodes over the last year. We ran through 2 rounds of beta testing, just like MultiSwap. We gathered feedback and made adjustments to improve the experience of running nodes, to make it easier for you to understand what are the benefits of running a node, why would you want to run one, how does it benefit the network, and how does it monetarily reward you, what are the upsides, the downsides, and the risks for doing so as well. So all of this work and all of this data that we gathered has now culminated into us being able to start delivering on the final product that we're going to launch. We're hoping in Q1 of 2024 is the target for this to get in the hands of users so that they can actually start running the first iteration of mining nodes, not in just a beta format on the testnet scenario, but in a format that is going to be meaningful and actually generate real rewards. There is going to be a requirement if you want to become a miner to stake a minimum amount of Ferrum on the respective chains, the details of which I'm not going to get into on this specific video, but we will share the link to our white paper underneath this video that talks about those specific details. So make sure that you look through that information. And in future videos, as we get closer to launching this ability to run a mining node on the mainnet or a validator node as well, we will be sharing more details on this. But for now, I want to tell you the updates in terms of what is being worked on. What does the mining dashboard look like? I'm going to give you a first look of that. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to talk through some of those details now. And then we'll talk about the closing comments and what to look for up ahead. All right, so this is our first look at the Quantum Portal Explorer. Quantum Portal Explorer is going to be one of the core elements of the mainnet technology solutions that are going to go out. As you know, right now, if you do a transaction on a single network, you can go to the Explorer of that network, whether if it's a transaction on Ethereum, you can go to Etherscan and look at what happened in that transaction, whether it was a stake, unstake, a swap, transfer. You're able to look at that information and understand what happened with that transaction and keep track, kind of like an online representation of your ledger, of your decentralized ledger. If you do a transaction on BSC, you can do the same thing on BSC scan, so on and so forth. Each network comes with its own set of explorers. But with the Quantum Portal Explorer and what Ferrum is building with its mainnet, we're going to enable multi-chain transactions. So this means that you might initiate one atomic transaction that may initiate on Ethereum, but it may execute something on BSC. Now, when you do this, when you initiate a transaction on Ethereum that has also executed something on BSC, you have now 2 transactions that you might need to keep track of and monitor, similar to when you might do some sort of bridging transaction. Typically, when you deal with something like this, you have to keep track of the transaction on Etherscan, as well as keeping track of the transaction on BSC scan. Well, no more. Long gone are the days when Quantum Portal Explorer comes out of having to go on multiple explorers to keep track of multi-chain transaction. This explorer is going to make it possible for you to uniformly have a unified explorer view of multi-chain transactions. So what it's going to allow you to do, as you can see over here, is here's a transaction that has occurred This is a good example. Here's a transaction that has occurred on BSC and is also being executed on Arbitrum. So there was an execution command conducted on BSC, and it also executed something on the Arbitrum side. Instead of having to go to BSC scan and Arbiscan to keep track of the events of this transaction on both networks, I have a unified view to click on it, and I can click on this view and be able to see the transaction hash that is provided for that specific transaction where it occurred. I'm able to look at the from address and the from network that it occurred on. I'm able to look at the to address and the to network that this transaction interacted with. I can look at the amounts that were conducted. I can look at the function calls. I can decode the function. All of the information that you would want is available right here. I am, of course, showing you the prototype Figma version of this. We have already developed the UI and the UX interface of this, and I'll be sharing in future updates the actual interactive videos of those as well with you. But this is a sneak peek before it's ready for public sharing from an interactive standpoint. We're excited to have this product ready to go out along with the ability to run mining nodes and validator nodes in Q1 of 2024. So if you're somebody that's interested in running nodes, you might want to take a look at the documents that we are linking in the bottom of this video about in our white paper about how to become a miner, what are the qualification requirements, how to become a validator, what are the qualification requirements, and you might want to start looking into setting yourself up to ensure you have the amount of Ferrum that would be needed to stake in order to qualify to become a miner and run those nodes. So this, however, is just one of the many things. I'm going to share one more element of the mainnet infrastructure that is related. There's a lot more that's gone on that we share in our development updates, but the purpose of these videos is to share the highlights with you. Even when we do that, the videos that get quite long, but we try to do our best to share exciting updates with the community, with anyone that's interested in looking at Ferrum and what we've been working on. So let's talk about the next exciting element, and that is the mainnet mining dashboard. So this is something I'm also incredibly excited about. Let me go ahead and adjust the view of this element real quick. So this is an incredible dashboard that is being worked on right now. We are designing the journey that will allow you, if you're interested in running a mining node, to have a user interface that you're going to be able to come on, and you're going to be able to look at your node's total rewards that you have. You're going to be look at in the infrastructure and the network and the ecosystem how many miners there are, who are those miners, what are they mining, the latest blocks that have been mined. If I go into the rewards area, you can see that I am also looking at the specific rewards that have been allocated throughout the ecosystem for the entire mining ecosystem. I'm going to switch my screen and start sharing with you the mining dashboard for your individual mining screen, which is going to show you some stats about which networks you've already staked on and are ready to mine on, and which networks you still need to stake more and activate your mining process on as well. So let's get into that now. Okay, so what you're looking at on the screen right now is the miner dashboard. So the previous one was an overall view of all of the miners, the ecosystem. If anybody wants to kind of look at how the network is doing, this one is specific to your dashboard. If you're a miner running a mining node on any one of the networks that Ferrum is integrated with and wants to request multi-chain miners to mine transactions. So over here you can see the block information. You can see penalties in case there is a malicious event being published out or broadcasted by a miner. There will be penalties and slashing mechanisms built in. You can see your specific rewards. You can see also a detail of which networks you are currently actively mining. So you can see that in this case, this example, a miner has staked 2 million Ferrum. The specific miner has earned this much mining fees, has earned this amount of transaction fee rewards, has earned this much expansion fee period rewards, and they will have the ability to claim these rewards as those rewards become available for claiming during each period, each expansion period. New rewards are added. Anytime a transaction is mined, transaction fee rewards are added, and we have a description of what each one of these reward categories means right here in the UI. The networks that you are not yet eligible to mine on, it shows that what is your required amount to mine on that network, what is your amount currently there to stake. So it's telling you, hey, you need to stake a little bit more in order to become a miner, so you can go ahead and stake that. And then if on a network you have staked enough, but you just haven't activated mining, it gives you that experience over there as well. So this is an example of what is happening on the mainnet mining UI interface side. Of course, this means another update is important to share right now. All of the infrastructure behind this, in terms of being able to register yourself to become a miner, the actual code infrastructure to deploy a mining node on a platform, on a cloud computing platform like AWS or DigitalOcean or what have you. All of that work has already been completed. Now we are working on making the experience of running nodes, of becoming a miner, as simple as possible. And this is just one of those initiatives. We're also going to be partnering with third-party node running platforms that are going to allow users to go through them to set up the entire process. But our own platform is also going to have something super exciting, which is Delegation. So let's say you're somebody that wants to be part of the mining ecosystem, wants to earn the mining rewards, but you don't want to go up and set up an AWS machine or a DigitalOcean or a cloud platform machine on whatever platform of your choosing to be responsible for mining. You want to leave that up to someone that's more technically inclined, right? So in that case, we have the ability of delegation. So you can stake and delegate to a specific miner, and that miner will be running the node, and the rewards will then be split out based on the proportional stake ratio. So that's an incredible additional update that our team has also completed, and we're excited to have all this come together and get in the hands of the users in Q1 of 2024. This has been quite a long video, so I'm going to come back out of the screen share and share some closing thoughts. All right, I'm back. So I know it's been a full video with a lot of updates, but this is what we've been busy doing. When you look at Ferrum, we always talked about that. We always try to position ourselves not just to survive the bear market, but how to thrive in the bear market. And because of the good decisions that our founders, Ian and Naeem, made in the initial days of Ferrum, where they looked at launching Ferrum immediately went into the crypto ecosystem industry immediately went into a bear market, and instead of closing ship or abandoning the project, they figured out a way to launch a product, staking as a service, and generate revenue, a product that was needed in a bear market, and generate revenue to keep the lights on, to pay the bills. And Ferrum has always done that. It has figured out how to run as a business that keeps the lights on and supports its needs while funding the growth to meet its long-term objectives. In the previous bull market, we did the same thing. We built up a war chest that allowed us to fund our development process through the bear market, and we have done very well in that area. We've continued to build. We've built faster and better in the bear market than ever before, and we are incredibly excited for the upcoming run, for the launch of all of our products and services, for the launch of our mainnet, and we can't wait for you, if you're looking at Ferrum for the first time, to join us on this journey, to become a part of our community. And if you've been a long-term supporter of Ferrum, this is the time for you to really sit back and really enjoy the rewards of being a part of the Ferrum community right from the beginning, right from 2018 and 2019, when you've been with us, when this seems so far away. The days of all the amazing things that we talked about, all the value that Ferrum is going to bring, are coming into fruition over the next few months. And I am just glad to be on this journey with you guys. Once again, I'm Taha Abbasi. I serve as the Chief Technology Officer here at Ferrum Network, and I'm incredibly grateful for the amazing team members that support and build Ferrum behind the scenes. I just get to have the pleasure of coming out here and sharing these updates with you, but this does not happen without an incredible team of folks working from engineering, sales, support, partnerships, finance, all the way around. It has been an incredible effort by a number of individuals, and we will continue to deliver. We want to welcome you to join us on this journey if you're looking at us for the first time. Check us out on our socials. Check out our website at ferrum.network. The white paper is linked below, and we'll see you on Discord and Telegram.